read just a few words and we'll enter into our work. We always, most times, anyways, that we have our Saturday night meeting, we generally have a little bit of a counseling for the church. Sometimes it's still about repentance.
Sure.
Even for the church, Brother Carmel. Sometimes we need that.
Yeah, do that for the
And then we'll just shortly go into 5 minutes worth of work, and we'll go downstairs. But I've enjoyed the things that we've already been listening to. I really have, and it causes me to think about many things, like Brother Jimmy was saying, that there's many things went through his mind that people would kind of bring up. And I don't know that I'll be able to do much of anything. I was traveling late last night, and it seems like that cold air gets the best of my voice, and didn't get home till about 2 o'clock in the morning so that we could be here today and get things ready for this weekend. But I always love to try to talk and to try to counsel the church just a little bit. I have never found a time in my life where that I've reached the point of perfection, Brother Charles. Never have I come to the point when I can say that I've matured all the way. I don't need to learn anything else.
Oh, no.
But I want you to know that as long as I'm in this world, Brother Brandon, I'm praying that God will always be teaching me just a little bit.
Yeah. I hope so.
Listen, and I want you to understand that God still doesn't owe me anything, but I owe God my whole life. And I feel with everything that's in me, brother, listen, that I've got, listen, a job to do.
Sure do.
Listen, and I want you to know that as long as there is breath in my body, I want to be up and about my Father's business.
Yeah.
One way or another.
That's true.
Listen, sometimes, listen, I find that sometimes my preaching is done pretty good with words, and sometimes it needs a whole lot of works, Brother Earl. Listen to me, in order to get across the point that sometimes we need gotten across, brother. But listen, I look out and I see some that'll be taking the communion and the foot washing for the first time, I reckon. Listen, you know, that sets up a fear sometimes in our lives, brother. It causes us to begin to question ourselves, and we begin to wonder a little bit. But I want you to understand, the Bible, Paul did say, let every man examine himself, and that goes for a woman too, Brother Thomas. Let us all begin to examine ourselves to see if we're worthy, brother. But you know what? The only way that I'm worthy, Brother Brian, is if I have been born again by the blood of Jesus, Brother Jenny. The only way that I could truly ever be worthy of this thing. But I want you to know, Brother Brian, I want you to be praying for a minute. Listen, that God will look down and that He'll bless me for a little bit. But Brother Jimmy, you said from there that we ought to be seeking the face of God, and we ought to be striving a little bit harder along this journey. brother, and they was in a wilderness land. Listen, he had done everything that God had commanded him, Brother Andy. But I want you to know, Moses got to one little point, and he began to cry out unto the Lord, and he said, oh Lord, I need a little more, God. I need to see your glory, Lord. I need to see you in all your glory. And you know what? God said, Moses, don't worry, I'm going to go with you all the way through this. Brother, but listen to me. Moses, don't you worry, I'm going to go with you through everything, brother. But Moses cried out again, and he said, God, I still want to see your glory. I want to see you. Listen, in all of it. I love what God said. No man, Moses, can see my face and live. But because you desire that, there is a place by me. That's where I want to be today. Moses, there is a place by me. I've got a little cleft. Listen, I'm going to set you in that little rock, Brother Jimmy. I'm going to set you right there. Listen, as I begin to walk by you, I'll take my hand and I'll put it over your eyes that you can't see my face. No man has seen my face and lived, but I'll put my hand over that, and as I walk by you then, you'll see my hinder part. Yeah, Lord, you know what everybody will take. Listen, science today, they'll take this Bible and they'll tear it all apart, Brother George. And yeah, but ain't you glad that God knows everything? God knows, listen, what Moses was needing, Brother Jimmy. That's why he done that. Moses, no man can see my face, but you'll be able to see my hinder words. Listen, and you know what? Moses was able from that to write down the very beginning of creation. But because that Moses desired to see and feel God a little more, that's why God gave it to him. Well, here we are now, thousands and thousands of years later, and brother, and I'm telling you, I need to see God a little more. Oh, this world, sometimes it beats us up pretty good. Listen, when we lost Brother Clyde Cure, listen, don't doubt it, it wounded me. But when we lost Brother Betty Tackett, he cut me pretty deep. When I got the phone call that we had lost my first cousin, he cut me pretty deep. Oh, this world, it's wounded me every time I turn around. But I'm glad that I've got a God in heaven, brother, that I can go to, and I can say, Lord, I need you one more time. I'm glad that I can turn to him and say, Lord, this world is a beating up on me. You know what? A young minister came here. Listen, he came quite a few times there. Listen, but every time just about he came here, he would stand here and he'd say, he began to tell a story. I'm talking about Brother Barry Teller, Brother Joe. Oh, that man, he had had 3 children, a younger minister than me. I had a little daughter, listen, when she was about 7 years old, maybe even 6 years old. He said she came home from school, listen, and when he got there, she climbed right up in his lap and said, "Daddy, just hold me a little bit." Tears began to fall, and he said, "Sarah, what's wrong?" "Oh, Lord," she said, "Dad, just hold me for a minute." And brother, and he held her, and he felt her body begin to weave, and he said, "Honey, tell Daddy what's wrong." And all she did was say, "This world has been mean to me, but when I can climb up in your lap, and you put your arms around me, it helps me, Dad." Oh, Lord, ain't you glad that we when the world beats us up, when the wound begin to touch the knee, that we can't hardly go on, we can climb up in our Father's lap and she just hold the Lord up just a little bit. Oh, I want all of you people to understand. Here's what Jesus done. Listen, he knowed his days was coming to an end. The very last week of his life, there on the first day of unleavened bread, brother, and he called them, or the disciples came to him, and they said, "Master, where will we eat the bread?" Listen, for Passover, brother, and Jesus began to tell them, "You go down here, and you'll meet a man bearing a pitcher. You look at him, and you tell him, the Master, listen, he wants to take the Passover. Do you have any room?" Oh, Lord, they went and they prepared that meal, brother, and I'm telling you, we've got work to be done. Sometimes we need to prepare, brother, and what we're getting ready to enter into. But you know what? About every year, when people that comes in that ain't never done this, they'll begin to ask me, "Listen, I don't want to do something wrong. What in the world would happen if when I go to take a little bite of that bread, I was to drop a piece on the floor?" I always tell them, you don't worry about that. I've seen my dad since I was a little boy begin to serve men and women, and he would always take the bread and the fruit of the vine around, Brother Brian. I've seen somebody old be shaking and no doubt push some into the floor. I'd see my dad reach down and put it in his pocket, and that was all that was said and done. But if you want to do something wrong, you come judging your brother.
That's right.
You come judging your sister. I got news for you, Brother Greg. This ain't about looking around to see how everybody else is dressed. This is to examine yourself. And I'm telling you, one of the greatest things that God's ever said in the church was a very sacred man. Listen, that we're entering into. But I pray everybody will be humble. Everybody, Brother Brian, will love one another. I'm telling you, we don't know who's going to be here next year. We've got, all we've got in it is one shot, people. We ain't coming back to this earth again. But it's like that promise that Brother Charlie was talking about. I've got a promise when I close my eyes here. I'm going to a better land. And brother, and I'll tell you what, there ain't going to be no more trouble. There ain't going to be no more heartache. Listen, it's going to be joy forever and ever. And I won't take the time, but I appreciate everybody coming out. I really do. I hope that God will bless us. This is such a real thing. And you know what Jesus said? I'll not do it again until I take it with you in heaven's land. And I believe that, Brother Kermit. There's coming another day. If you want to look around and look and say, well, that person just don't look worthy. Or I've heard them, or I've seen this, and they're not worthy. How would you feel that if you got to heaven's land and seen Jesus begin to serve them?
Yeah.
And to bow down and wash their feet? And He is going to, Brother Randy. And I believe that. But I'm going to give way right here with these very few words.